Morning. So yesterday we began the Maimer that the Rebbe said in Tavshin Chav Dalid, Al Shvat. It's the second Maimer, and the Dibur Maschel, the Tzidkas Prizeni B'Yisrael, we explained what the idea of the tzedakah was, that the Eibishter scattered the Yidden all over the world. Like Rashi says, She'ein Yichelim L'Chalisim Yachad. If God forbid the enemy wants to annihilate the Yidden, so had they been in one place, God forbid, it could happen. And the Yidden being scattered out, so being that they're not under the jurisdiction of that enemy, so therefore it's not shaykh for l'chalesim yachad. And explained from the Frierdiker Rebbe that the ikar mitzias of a Yid is learning Torah and being mekayim mitzvahs. So why is it, like the Frierdiker Rebbe says, she'en yichel mechalesam, is because it has the ikar to do with Torah and mitzvahs. So through the Yidden being mefuzar in other medinas, and when they're even when their country is putting pressure on them not to learn and not to be mekayim mitzvahs, so in addition to the fact that the Yidden in other countries are learning Torah, so through learning Torah and mitzvahs, it gives them a koyach for the people that are under the gzeda, not to be mispol from the menias v'yikumim, and to learn Torah with the take of a mesiras nefesh. So not only is the Gzeiras of the Umas Ha'olam not able to destroy the Yidden, but the Kiyum HaMitzvah, since it's in a way of the Mailam Didav Agbala, in a way of a Faratzta, so the Mesiras Nefesh also reaches higher than Shtalshlus Adam. As we said, the beginning of Shtalshlus Adam, this is the Keach HaSeichel. Ratzin is higher than Seder Shtalshlus. So through Mesiras Nefesh, so Mesiras Nefesh is higher than Ratzin, higher than Seichel. Is Ratzin, it comes from Ratzin higher than Seichel. And this is what the Frierdiker Rebbe explains, the Yimshach Rav Tuv the Basi Yisrael, that there's a difference between Toiv and Tuv. Tuv is the Shadish of Toiv. So through the Mesiras Nefesh which is higher than say the Ishtalshlus of the person, so automatically he comes to the higher being that his Aveda was higher than was in a way of Mesiras Nefesh higher than say the Ishtalshlus. So he attains the level of higher than Seder Shtalshlus, that he's able to bring the Rav Tuv, the Basi Yisrael, the Matam Asar Tvach in the morning, the Teva Nidavanil. Okay, that's where we left off yesterday. Base, page Yud Aleph. Zeh Mashakosiv Tzidkas Prizeni B'Yisrael. And this is what the Navi is saying in Shaftim, that it's a tzedakah Prizeni B'Yisrael. Lashon, like we're going to see in a second, Prozis Teishev B'Yerushalayim. It's in a way of like abundance, in a way of breitkeit. The Lacheda, seemingly, the Fipirish Hanal Tzedakah Shepiz Necholi, based on what we just explained, that it's a tzedakah that the Eibishter scattered the Yidden around the world. So, Frek the Rebbe have a Lelimemer Tzidkas Pizroinoi. It should have said a tzedakah that the Eibishter was mefazer the Yidden. What's this lashon of Tzidkas Pizroinoi? Lashon like Prozis Teishev Yerushalayim. So the Rebbe says, Achainyan, who's like this. Sha'atzedakah she'asa Kadosh Baruch Hu b'Yisrael ha'yidei she'pizren chuli pizreinei ho'inyan de pirzoinei.
Why does it pizreinei b'Yisrael? It should say tzedakah pizreinei.
No. There's a difference between pirzoinei, pizrein, and pirzoin. Pizrein is, what is, how do you say scattered in Hebrew? Pizrein. What's this lashon of pirzoinei? What's this? It's a tzedakah that the Eibishter was Pirzeni b'Yisrael. What's his deal Pirzeni? L'cheda seemingly should have said Pizreni. So he says like this. Acha inyo is like this. Shatzedakah sha'asa Kadosh Baruch Hu b'Yisrael yidei shepizrein Pizreni hu inyan de Pirzeni. What's the tzedakah? The tzedakah that the Eibishter did by being mefaz the Yidden is the idea of Pirzeni. What does that mean? Hainu haveda de Mesiras Nefesh shalamayla medida v'agbala. It's the Aveda of Mesiras Nefesh, which is higher than any limitation. Because of the Mesiras Nefesh of which is higher than Medida V'Agbala, so through that you're able to bring down the level of Rav Tuv, which is higher than Medida V'Agbala. Ba'derech Mashakosov, like the pasuk in Zechariah says, Prozis Teishev Yerushalayim, that Yerushalayim will be like open cities, open walled. Now, Pidish Rashi, what does Rashi explain on the pasuk? Prozis Teshu Yerushalayim. Yeah, famous song we always sing. Prozis Teshu. What's the milos? Rashi says, Shloya Ketzev Yishir. There's not going to be any limitation in Yerushalayim. Well, Inyan, who we're holding, those who just came now, we're holding in the middle of his base. The line starts with Teshu. Well, Inyan, what does this mean? What's the idea of Prozis Teshu Yerushalayim? So Rashi says like this. So the Rebbe says like this. Well, Inyan, what's this idea? Yerushalayim is comprised of two words. Yareh, Yireh Shalim. Complete fear, complete Yireh. Hainu, what does that mean? What's the idea of Yerushalayim? Shleimus HaYireh, the completion of fear. Hainu, what does that mean? Nekudas Yerushalayim, Shalamayim Ma'asechel. This is the idea of the Nekud of Yerushalayim, which is higher than any understanding. Which is P'chinas Oitzer Sheyerushalayim, which is the storehouse, the warehouse of Yerushalayim. The Yireh he mitzad atzmusi yisparich. The Yireh, that when the Yid has this level, this Yireh of Eitzer Yerushalayim comes from the level of atzmus. It's not even alluded to not in the letters, and not even on the koitzim on top of the letters, like the thorns, the tagim on top of the letters. The Rebbe explains, it's known, in fear, there's different levels. You have the level Yiras Ha'inish, a person fears of getting punished, or Yiras Ha'chet, a person fears of the sin, or Yiras Ha'remus, you have fear of how exalted the person is. I should say it's by the Eibishter. So, V'chein Yiras Alikim, Yiras Havai, and you have the Yiras Alikim and Yiras Havai. So, in Yira you have Yiras Ha'inish, Yiras Ha'chet, Yiras Ha'remus, Yiras Alikim, Yiras Havaya. Now, Yiras Havaya Gufa Yishkama B'chinas Shehem Keneged Dal Ha'osis to Shem Havaya. In the Yiras at the level of Havaya, you have different levels corresponding to the Yud Kei Vav Kei in Shem Havaya. Ad L'Hayirish Mitzad B'chinas Keitzah Sheyud, and then you have a level of Yira Mitzad the Keitzah the Yud. Now, the Rebbe says, V'chol B'chinas Elu Yesh Bahem Eze Tzir Umedida. Every type of Yira that is Misram is in the Yud Kei Vav Kei has some sort of limitation. It has a tzir and it has a limitation. However, the Nekud of Yerushalayim, that it's higher than Seichel, that comes from the level of Atzmus, which is not alluded to in any type of case. Now, how does one get this? How does one get this level of Yira? How does it come out? This is dafka through the opposition. Maimer, like Maimer Razal, like the Gemara in Bracha says, what is Neitzach Zu bin Yerushalayim? This is the building of Yerushalayim. What does that mean? Dafka when there's a limit, you're being prevented. One is being prevented from Torah mitzvahs. We're holding Yud Aleph, Yossi, and the line starts with Yesh Minis V'Kovim. Hine Oz Mis'eder Ateket Mis'er Nefesh L'Malam Masechel. So through the Minis V'Kovim of the Menagid, that the Menagid tries to stop one from doing Torah mitzvahs, so that arouses the take of Mis'er Nefesh L'Malam Masechel, which is B'chinas Eitzer Sheyirushalayim, which this is the level of Eitzer Yerushalayim. Now, and this is why the Navi says it was a tzedakah shepizrin. We asked, why not say pizroinoi? He scattered. What's this diak of pizroinoi? Tzedakah shasa kadosh baruch hu b'Yisrael yidei shepizrin lebin umeis hu ha'inyin ti pizroinoi shalamadim medida v'agbala. Because what's the tzedakah? The tzedakah that the Eibishter did with the Yidden by scattering them amongst the goyim is in a way of pizroinoi, which is higher than medida v'agbala. P'chinas prozis teishiv Yerushalayim. So the Eibishter is doing like a double chesed with us. Number one, he's being mefazer the Yidden all around, so we don't get annihilated. But it's in a way of pirzoinoi, in a way of prozis teishiv Yerushalayim. What does that mean? Through the Menias V'Kovim B'Zman HaGalus, we're scattered amongst the goyim to refine them. Hainu, Lefi, page at base. Hainu Lefi, Shabir and Tzitzis Ein Yochel Yez Kfi Shayib B'Zman Shleima. which means that the refinements of the netzutzas in the world cannot be like it was by Shlomo HaMelech. She'oz nichachu hanetzitzis b'derech memela kiner b'fnei avuka. In the times of Shlomo HaMelech, like the Alter Rebbe writes in Teira Eir, that it was like the netzitzis were like b'derech memela. People like automatically ran to the Yidden in the times of Shlomo HaMelech, and that's like a light in front of a avuka that you don't even see the nair. However, in the time of Galus, the Yidden have to go to different places to refine the sparks that are there. Now, so so through the Yidden being scattered amongst the Goyim, and they have a menagid that opposes them from Teda Mitzvahs, and so what comes out? The level of Eitzer Shir Shemayim comes out as Megal in every single Yid, which that level is higher than Medida V'Agbala. And through this, through the Mesiras Nefesh that a Yid has, that comes out from the Menagid, which is the level of Eitzer Shir Shemayim, which is higher than Medida V'Agbala, you're able to bring down the Eitzer HaTev, which is higher than Ishtashlus, as the pasuk in Parshas Kishav says, Yiftach Havai Lechas Eitzer HaTev, that Hashem opens the good Eitzer, the good storehouse. What does that mean? Shepchinas v'rav tuv the Beis Yisrael, you're able to be nimshach v'rav tuv. So what we said in Eis Beis is, what does this mean? Tzedakah tzidkas pirzoinei b'Yisrael. L'cheir should have said that it's tzedakah that the Eibishter was mefazer the Yidden. So he says, the Rebbe says that what's the tzedakah that Hashem was mefazer the Yidden was in a way of pirzoinei, like process teisha v'Yerushalayim, that through the avodah Mesiras Nefesh, which is higher than Medida V'Agbala, you're able to bring down Rav Toiv, which is Lamayla Medida V'Agbala, in a way of process teisha of Yerushalayim. Like Rashi says that there's not going to be any limitation. So he explained that Yerushalayim is comprised of two words, Yarei Shalim, complete fear, which means that Yerushalayim is the idea of the completion of Yida, which is the level of Eitzer Shir Shemayim, which comes from Atzmos, which is not even alluded to in Havaya. And we explained that in Yida you have Yiras HaEinish, Yiras HaChet, Yiras HaRemimus, Yiras HaLekim, Yiras Havaya, and in Yiras Havaya you have different levels. You have the level of Yud K, Vav K, and even every single letter corresponds to another type of Yida. But they're limited. The Yiras Shemayim is higher than Seichel. The Yiras Shemayim we're talking about is higher than Seichel, which comes from Atzmos. And how does one get this revelation? Is dafka through the menagid, like we said, Vanetzach is Yerushalayim. At dafka when there's mnias v'ikuvim on Teda Mitzvahs, then it arouses the person to have this Mesiras Nefesh higher than Seichel, the love of Eitzer Shal Yerushalayim. So what's the tzedakah? Pirzeni b'Yisrael. The tzedakah is that the Eibishter puts us amongst the Goyim, and through the menagid of the Goyim, we're able to bring out the level of Prazes, the level of the Etz from the Etzem and Neshama, the level of Eitzer Shir Shemayim, which comes out only Bizman HaGalus. And through this Mesiras Nefesh, you're able to draw down the level of B'chinas Rav Tuv.
What's the most direct translation of Pirzoinism?
Pirzoinim means like Prazes. It's Prazes. Dispersed. Prazes Teshuv Yerushalayim. It's Melashon Prazes Teshuv, that it means that the walls will be opened. Prazes Teshuv Yerushalayim. Now Yerushalayim has walls surrounding it. Prazes Teshuv Yerushalayim. It's going to be what's the English word? Unfortified, right?
Could be
unfortified. Okay. Gimel. V'ho'inyin, what is this concept? Like explained in the Maimer. In Perek Vov explains, now you have a Melech Basar V'Dam that he has these great precious weapons and weaponry and he only uses it l'tzerech gadol. No one sees it. Nevertheless, when there's war So what does the king do? He disperses his hidden treasures in order to be victorious over the enemy. Now, what's the dogma? The Pchinas Eitzer Elyon, who Pchinas Shalamayla Me'er V'Gilei. The level of Eitzer Elyon is higher than any revelation, which is Eitzer HaKomos. It's hidden. It's an Eitzer which is hidden. Hainu L'mayla M'Pchinas Gilei, which means that it's higher than any revelation. The same thing is by the neshama. Shebchinas ha'oiser, sheyir shamayim, neshama hu bchinas nekudas yir shamayim, shebeta'alumis leiv, shemitzad etzam neshama. When we say by the neshama, the eitzer sheyir shamayim, this is in the neshama, the level of yir shamayim, which is hidden, which comes from the etzam neshama, which is higher than any giluyim. What does that mean? The bchinas nekudas yir shamayim, he leidak this Nekud of Yerushalayim that we're referring to is not only that it's higher than Seichel, which we said Reishis HaKeiches HaPnimi, which is the beginning of the inner Keiches, Kiyem rather Shilamayla Gam Mechlolus Pchinas HaGiluyim the Neshama. It's higher than any revelation of the Neshama. Gam Pchinas HaMakifim Chai V'Yechida. It's even higher than the level of Chai Yechida, as we know in the 5 levels of the Neshama, Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chai Yechida. So the level of Chai Yechida is the level of Makifim. So this level of Nekudas of Yerushalayim is even higher than the level of Chai Yechida, even higher than, as we say, the Pintalayid, the Hine. Explains like this. Gam Yechida, Yirak Pchinas Shem V'Gila Bavad. Even the level of Yechida is also it's a name and it's a revelation. Kumayim Razal, like the Razal say, Chamisha Shemes Nikro Lo. That the Nefesh has, the Neshama has 5. It's called 5 names. Nefesh Ruach, Neshama Chai Yechida. Which means, Shagam Pchinas Yechida, Hirak Shem Begila Bavad V'le Etzem Neshama. That even the level of Yechida is also a name, it's a revelation, and it's not Etzem Neshama, which is a very big Kiddush. Because usually you think, Yechida, it's Yom Kippur, that's when the Etzem Neshama comes out. The Rebbe says, no. Etzem Neshama, Yechida is not Etzem Neshama. Etzem Neshama is higher than Yechida. Now, this Eitzer Yerushalayim that comes out in the time of Galus comes from the level of Etzem Neshama, which is higher than Yechida. And this Yida reaches to the level of Atzmus, Kanal Siv Beis. As we explained, that this Yida comes from the level of Atzmus, Le'isramis, Le'bishum Eis, Le'bishum Keitz. Since this Yida from the Etzem Neshama is higher than all 5 levels of the Neshama, so that's why it goes even higher than Yud Kei Vav Kei, higher than the Keitzer Sheyud, that you reach the level of Atzmus. Why does the Eibusher give this revelation? It is in order that you should be victorious. This is the idea of the Aveda of Mesiras Nefesh in an actual way. Dafka through the level of Eitzer Sheyir Shemayim, the level of from that comes from Atzmus, then one is be able to be victorious over the enemy in the Milchama. And this is also the strength that the Eibusher gives to every Yid. As the Gemara in Sukkah says, Shakadosh Baruch Hu Ezra, that Hashem helps the Yid, that Hashem helps for a Yid to be victorious every single day. Not only on Shabbos, on the contrary, we know that Shabbos in Aveda is not the idea of war. Shabbos is the idea of Menucha. The whole week we're fighting. I know I dekeh Mesiras Nefesh Shelamayla Mimdile Vagbala Shelachein Har Shelamayla Hacheshbenes. So, and this is through the Keich Mesiras Nefesh, which is higher than Mimdile Vagbala. It's higher than any calculations. Just like we explained, when the king is mevazviz his hidden treasures, or his hidden weaponry that he has. The mitzad the level of Mesiras Nefesh that he has, he doesn't make any cheshbenis to be mevazvus or not. Umavar ba'maimer, the Frierdiker Rebbe explains the maimer, the Geshem she be'inyan kibush ha'machama begashmis. Hayeshnem chacham gdelim ha'sheiktim b'mechachmis shel tachsisei ha'machama. Yeshnem anshei chayil she'enim yedim klal im ki ha'chachmis shel tachsisei ha'machama. So the Frierdiker Rebbe explains that just like in an actual war, you have the people that strategize the war, the strategist, and then you have the foot soldiers that actually go and fight the war. Who's actually winning the war, who's fighting the war, is the foot soldiers. They are the ones that are victorious. So the same thing is when it comes to spiritual war. Who are the ones fighting the war? This is the soldiers that have Yiras Shamayim. Like the Frierdiker Rebbe explains over there. This that we say that the victory of the war is dafka through the regular soldiers, the regular foot soldiers. It's not coming to negate the big generals and the ones who strategize the war. שגם אבידוסם של הפקידים הגבוהים צריכים להיות לא מצד השכל וגם לא מצד בחינת הגילויים של המעלה מהשכל כי הם באופן למסירות נפש. So when we're saying that the main people that are fighting the war that are going to be menatzech is the Anshe HaChayil, it's not coming to negate the people, the strategists of the war that they have nothing to do with it. But he's saying is that to be victorious in the war, it has to come from the level of Kabbalah Selah, Mesiras Nefesh, like the regular soldiers. Also, their avodah comes from the etzem and neshama, which is higher than revelations. They're included in the regular soldiers which have Yiras Shamayim. What's the diak of Naga B'libam? Which means that the etzem of the Yiras Shamayim that we're talking about here has to come from the level of the heart and not in the brain. Just like in this world. So just like in a regular war, the king, in order to be victorious, he gives the regular Anshe Chayil gives him Mamish's Eitreis. So this corresponds, like we see by the Eibishter. So the Eibishter gives us the Eitzer Elyon, which is higher than any revelation, and through that we're able to bring out our Eitzer Shemayim to be victorious. So that's Mamayla Lamata by the Eibishter. So through the Yidden standing in the way of Mesiras Nefesh, and they're able to arouse their level of Eitzer Yiras Shamayim, so then so then your spirit brings the spirit of Mamayla, which the Eibishter opens the Eitzer for him, Mamayla, Yiftach Havai Lechas Eitzer Atev, Shemasaya. So this helps. The Eibishter opens the Eitzer Yiras Shamayim in order for us to be victorious against the enemy. Tomorrow we're going to learn the Maimer that Rebbe said, Matzah Shabbos, Tafshin Chavdaleh, Basi Ligani.